Hey, it's Jennifer Waugh here, and I'm in my home office in Langley, BC, and I am a certified professional coactive coach, and I specialize in helping women who want to transform their pain of their past that they may be feeling like they're stuck and suffering with, and they want to transform that pain of their past into more hope, peace, and possibility in their life. And I wanted to do a video here for you today around the myths and misinformation and cultural beliefs that we have likely been exposed to in some form or another as a child. And maybe they have become so ingrained that they actually feel like they're the truth. And chances are, I know in my case is, we might be passing these myths and misinformation on to and really ineffective ways of dealing and processing loss and grief and emotional feelings onto our children. So I wanted to just touch on a few of them here today. So the first one is around don't feel bad. Now, don't feel bad. I want to give you an example. So for example, I don't know if you ever had any situation when you were a child where maybe you hurt yourself, or you had a fight with a friend, or something happened and you were emotionally upset. And, or maybe our parents came along and said, hey, don't feel bad. Here, let me give you a cookie, or let's go have ice cream, or, something where we're sending the message, that you shouldn't feel bad, that instead you should just be happy, and let's just put a band-aid on that emotional pain by, trying to fix it in some way, instead of really acknowledging that emotional pain that is being experienced in that moment. That can then lead to, as we get older in life, where we respond to our emotional losses in the same way. I know I've experienced that myself. It's like, when I feel emotionally bad, I want to make it feel better, have a glass of wine, eat some chocolate or something, to just, because I don't want to be okay and accept that emotional pain. And the second myth and misinformation I want to talk about is to replace the loss. So sometimes this might show up as an example, maybe as a child you lost a pet, and then, or maybe you had a situation like that happen, and then your parents said, it's okay, we'll get another dog. Or maybe you had a hamster and you lost a hamster, and it's like, okay, well, it's okay, we'll get another hamster. And the message that can really send and is that, again, not addressing the heart and the emotional loss, and instead saying, it's okay, we're just going to replace it with something else, and not fully acknowledging the emotional pain. I know myself, when my husband died, it was people saying, you're still young, and you'll find a new relationship at some point. And it's like, that while that may be the case, as a child, we may get a new dog, we may get a new hamster, we may have a new relationship, and it does not effectively heal the emotional pain of the loss that we're experiencing. Another myth and misinformation is to grieve alone. An example of this might be, maybe as a child, when you were upset, your parents said to you, go cry in your bedroom. It's not okay to be okay and upset here. And you should go grieve alone. Again, a lot of these I've known as before knowing this information, I know I've been guilty of doing this with my own children. And so it's really important for me to share this information, that the messages that we're giving our children, or we may have received ourselves as children, is enforcing that belief that we need to grieve alone, and that there's something wrong with us, and that we cannot be accepted for our full range of emotions, that it's only okay if we're happy, and if there's sadness and you're upset, then you're not okay here in the core and the heart of our home. You need to go and be on your own. Very heartbreaking. And isolating. And then I think I see how that shows up is later in life. I know it's very, very common. The woman that I'm working with, I've experienced it again myself, is, we feel bad and then we feel like we have to be alone, and it can become very isolating instead of asking for help and reaching out and surrounding ourselves around community and support. Another one is just give it time. And while the initial pain of a loss does get better with time, it really doesn't, it's not just time alone that will effectively heal and allow you to be emotionally complete with the pain of a loss. It's like, having a flat tire and just sitting on the side of the road and thinking that just sitting and watching the tire is going to, in time, have the tire inflate. You actually have to do something. And so that is part of the work that I do, and the grief recovery work that I do is actually helping with giving some tools, effective tools that will really help with getting complete with that emotional loss, so that you're not 10 years down the road still feeling like you're stuck in suffering. Of course, you're always going to remember losses in your life, and they're going to forever be part of you. And for the case of deaths, my husband, I will never forget. I will always have a special place for him in my heart. And yet I've been able to do the grief recovery work that allows me not to be stuck and suffering like I did for so long. And another one is be strong for others. This message, like, we got to be strong for we got to be strong for our kids. We got to be strong for the other people in our lives can be debilitating. It's such a burden to feel like you got to be strong for others. And I mean, of course, as parents, in my situation, my husband died, I still had to put food on the table and wash my kids' laundry and earn an income and take care of them and do all those things. And that all does require strength. I feel like at times when I put that pressure, like I had to be strong for my kids, and I couldn't show them that I was hurting and I was in pain, sometimes sent a message like where they learned that they had to do the same thing, where they learned that they had to be strong. And again, that just sends an emotion. They've got to sends the message that they have to shove their natural emotions that they're feeling, because they feel like they got to be strong too, because that's what they witnessed. And so, there's a balance in, there's a balance in that. Of course, like I said, taking care of obligations is one thing, and then also allowing to show vulnerability and show those emotions and show that it's okay and that it's normal and natural is so important. And then the last one I wanted to talk about today on this video is about keeping busy. That myth that, just stay busy, like get back to work. A lot of people will say, I'm just going to get back to work because I got to keep busy. I got to keep my mind off it. And while at times it may feel like that is working, in the long run, it really does not allow you to feel complete with the emotional pain. The busyness just shoves and stuffs that pain. Again, I've experienced it firsthand myself, so I know it's a cultural norm and that we learn from our culture. And again, the more I keep busy, the more I don't actually allow the authentic emotions to be expressed and released in an appropriate and healthy way. So I hope that this conversation has been helpful for you. I would love to hear some of maybe the myths and the information that you realize that you have been exposed to culturally, and how you feel like that might have impacted your grief and your allowing your emotions fully. So I would love to hear what your thoughts about that, and maybe how you see that that's had a negative impact on your children. Whatever you have to share, I would love to hear. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.